Okay, so I'm just going to quickly mark those two, and then I want to do an example of where we have a parabola and a straight line on the same axis, and when we work with the intercepts. Okay, so for number 2, you had to complete the square of y is equal to x squared minus 8x plus 16. So ons begin deur te sê b is minus 8. When we simplify that, that's negative 4. So the number that we're going to add and subtract is 16. So ons gaan sê dis x kwadraat minus 8x. Then we add 16 and we subtract 16. And be careful, this one was already there. Goed. En as ons hom dan gaan skryf is hy x minus 4 kwadraat. And then this is plus 0. So I'm not going to write it there. And if you look back at the original equation, this one, we could have gone straight to this. Maar dit is die gereeld wat hulle hom vir ons gee, dat hy al klaar volkome vierkant is. So it's easier to just always follow the same steps. So if I'm looking for the turning point of this parabola, it will be at 4 and 0. So if I just make a rough sketch there at number 4, like this, it turns on the x-axis. And then for number 4, yesterday we said we have to work with an a value of positive 1. So I just factorize out negative 1. And that one as is also actually easy to just factorize into a bracket squared. But let's do our steps. So we say it's 2 divided by 2 squared, which is 1 squared, which is 1. So inside this bracket, I'm going to say x squared plus 2x plus 1 minus 1 plus 1. So in other words, this bracket will be x plus 1 squared, and negative 1 plus 1 is just 0, so it just looks like that. And then if it had another term, you had to multiply that minus with that as well, but now we only multiply it with a bracket. So that minus x plus 1 kwadraat. And so the turning point of this graph will be at negative 1 and 0. So if I make a rough sketch of that, it'll look something like this. No, I'm lying. This shape will look like this at negative 1, and we know the shape points downwards because of that negative in front of the x squared. Okay, so dis wat julle vir huiswerk gehad het. Nou gaan ek spring na oefening 4 toe. And you guys did 1.1 previously for homework, but we didn't do 1.2 and 1.3. So I'm just quickly going to do 1.1 again because it's good exercise to draw the graphs. Where they give us a parabola, f of x is equal to negative x squared plus 4x plus 12, and they give us the straight line g of x is equal to 4x plus 8. Okay, I gaan eers die parabole doen. So for the parabola, first step we see that it has a negative shape. Second step we see that it has a y-intercept of 0 and 12. Onthou ek lees sommer die y-afsnit af van daar af. Dan vir die x-afsnitte stel ons altyd y gelyk aan 0. So negatief x kwadraat plus 4x plus 12 is gelyk aan 0. I'm going through this quickly now because we actually did this last term, so it's somewhere a bit of quick revision as well. Like that, so it has an x-intercept at 6 and at negative 2. And then the last thing we always need for a parabola is the turning point. So this time I'm going to do the turning point by completing the square. Remember, you can also do x value is negative b over 2a, and then substitute into original for the y value, but just because it's what we're busy with at the moment, I'm just going to write this one in its turning point form by using or by completing the square. Maar onthou ek het mos gister vir julle gesê, as jy nie hoef nie, moet dit nie doen nie, want hierdie is makliker om jou foute te maak. But we're not going to mistake now. Going to make a mistake. Irony. Okay, so ons gaan 4 bytel, 4 aftrek, and then remember this negative 12 was already there, so I just carry that part. And now if I factorize this bit, it gives me x minus 2 squared, and minus 4 minus 12 is minus 16. And then remember you have to multiply with both of those terms. So it is minus x minus 2 kwadraat plus 16. And you do all of that just to be able to say the turning point of this graph will be at 2 and 16. Okay, op daai punt gaan ek nou hierdie grafiek gou trek. Goed, so ons sê sy draaipunt is by 2 en by 16. So that's pretty high up. We said y-intercept at 12, and then we said the x-intercepts are at 6 and negative 2. This one should be somewhere in your books already, but it's never a waste of time to practice them. Okay, my parabole lyk nou nie baie mooi nie, maar julle kry die idee. Kom ons maak hom 'n dikker. Dan is hy bietjie meer vergewensgesind. Sweet. Okay, so that is f of x, the parabola. But they also gave us a straight line to draw. That one. Okay, so kom ons gaan gou vinnig deur hulle. Jy hoef nie eintlik al die stappe hier te doen nie, maar sommer maar net laat julle gou 'n bietjie graad 9 hersiening doen. Ons weet hierdie moet 'n stygende lyn wees. Ons weet sy eie afsnit is by 0 en 8, en vir sy x afsnit gaan ons net sê y is gelyk aan 0, so 0 is gelyk aan 4x plus 8, so hy sny x as by minus 2. Okay, so ons het 8 en minus 2. Nou waarvoor jy moet versigtig wees is, as daar iets is wat reeds op hierdie skets is, dan moet jy hom op daai selfde plekkie sit. So die minus 2 moet daar wees, en die 8 moet daar wees. Hy moet onder die 12 wees, en die minus 2 moet op dieselfde plek wees. Okay, so if I draw this straight line, it will intercept my parabola at another point. And now I have to first calculate that other point. En dit is nou waar ons weer inkom met die snypunte. Van die grafieke, which we touched on, but we didn't really discuss. So where you have intercepts of graphs, you set f of x equal to g of x. En dis wat ek gister vir julle ook gesê het, onthou, waar hulle mekaar sny, is die twee grafieke fisies gelyk aan mekaar. So ons stel hulle gelyk aan mekaar en ons los hulle op. So it's as simple as saying f of x is negative x squared plus 4x plus 12, g of x is 4x plus 8, and then you just get this in its standard form. So it's negative x squared, this one comes over, and then 4x cancels out 4x, so that one falls away. This one comes over and becomes negative 8, so that's plus 4, is equal to 0. I prefer to work with it like this. Then those are the differences between two squares. In other words, these two graphs will intercept one another where x is equal to 2, and again where x is equal to negative 2. Now one of these we already have on our sketch, because we already said we know that these two intercept at 2, at negative 2. And if you look on your graph, we actually already have the value at 2 as well. Maar kom ons werk hom net in elk geval uit. So hierdie punt lê op al twee die grafieke op dieselfde y-waarde. So you can substitute it into g of x, saying 4 times 2 plus 8 would give you 16. Or if you went and you substituted it into f, you would have gotten negative 2 squared plus 4 times 2 plus 12, which also gives you 16. The point is, in this specific case, these two graphs intercept one another at the one x-intercept and also on the turning point of the parabola. So it will intercept at negative 2 and 0, and it will also intercept at 2 and 16. So dis soort van soos gelyktydige oplossing wat jy eers die x-waardes kry en dan die y-waardes kry. Ek gaan nou sommer daai punt skuif. Like that. And let's say 8 is there. Okay, so die oranje grafiek is g van x. Okay, dit het julle al van tevore gedoen, maar nou by 1.2 sê hulle vir ons vir watter waardes van x is f van x gelyk aan g van x. So I have to go and look where in this graph will those two graphs be equal to one another. So basies wat hulle vra by hierdie een is hulle vra by watter x waardes is die snypunte. At which x values do we have the intersects? And you calculated it already, but you can also read it off your graph. They will intercept at x negative 2 and they will intercept at x 2. Onthou die vraag lees vir watter x waardes. So jy moet sê dis by x gelyk aan minus 2 of by x gelyk aan 2. And then they also ask us for f of x. Vir watter x waardes is f van x groter as of gelyk aan g van x? Okay, now remember f of x is our parabola. So we're looking for where is the parabola bigger than the straight line. In other words, where is the parabola above the straight line? So gaan gou vir julle inkleer. Sien julle vir hierdie stuk van die parabool? Lê hy bo my reguitlyn? Because I'm looking for bigger than. So it has to have a bigger y value than the straight line is. En as ons nou gaan kyk vir x waardes, dan is dit van hierdie ene al die pad tot daar. So for this one, we'll say for 1.3, it's bigger than or equal to negative 2 and smaller than or equal to 2. Die rede hoekom ek daai is gelyk aan tekens bysit, is omdat die vraag ook is gelyk aan tekens het. Hulle vra waar is die twee grafieke groter as of gelyk aan g, nie net groter as nie. If it was just f of x bigger than g of x, I would have just written this. Okay, but I'm going to spend some more time on that tomorrow as well. But for homework, do exercise 4, number 2.1. So make the sketches so that we can answer the rest of the questions together.